Look at us, Anthony, in Las Vegas once again.
I thought we were in the desert.
Oh, well, maybe you caused some problems at the tables last night and they brought you out here to the desert to finish things off?
Maybe.
Oh,
No, that's cool.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. Of course, we got Anthony Melchiori over there. I am Glenn Hausman. I'm excited because today's going to be a fun show. We've got one great show today and another part 2 tomorrow about hospitality and innovation here in Nevada, Anthony. It's going to be so cool.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to one of our favorite people from the show who's been on the show several times and who has been working in Vegas for a long time, took a brief hiatus and left the hospitality industry, worked in technology, and just was announced, I won't say where or who this person is, but you'll meet that person and is now got one of the coolest jobs in Vegas.
I'll say it's very mysterious who this person was because you guys can't see the names that I put up there in the show description at all. So you have no idea what's going on. All right, before we get started, I would like to thank the great people over at Radisson for giving us support. So listen, they're out there. They're working on redesigning some of their brands. You can hear more about that in the coming year. But if you're going to be doing a property, if you're looking to invest in the hotel company, these guys rock. Be sure you check out with a conversation with Phil Ewer, their Chief Development Officer. Check them out at RadissonHotelsAmerica.com. You guys see the rest on there. Oh, I guess we have an audio version, en-us/development, or just type in Radisson Hotels America's Development, and we'll take it.
Did anyone ever tell you you're good at your job?
Thanks. No, and I'm still struggling.
good.
Maybe one day.
I wouldn't want anybody to
one day. All right. So our guest, she'll be here in a minute, but we're at this great contest right now. We're doing this shark pool competition. I'm super excited about this, Anthony, because I'm going to be hosting the event, and you're going to be one of the judges over there at the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association's inaugural technology conference. It's so much
and the
fun.
first thing I'm going to do is judge your performance. So,
yes, I think they're going to have a special category for that. Sucks horribly, and sucks even more than expected.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Listen, there's nothing better than technology and young minds coming together because I'm fascinated. Matter of fact, I was just talking to a young person about technology, and they just told me something they're working on that I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And I won't share it because it'll probably be shared later.
I think that that person will be the second guest on tomorrow's show that we're recording today, right?
Oh, cool.
I believe so. Yeah.
So today is tomorrow.
Yeah, today is tomorrow. So just so you guys know, today we're live. Tomorrow, we're going to be running a pre-recorded show as we're here at this one-day conference. And it was just great for us to be able to grab all of that material today. Now, Anthony, while we're waiting for our mystery guest to come over here because she's off announcing the beginning of the conference and all of that, I wanted to share a little story that I saw out there.
I like when you tell stories.
Do you? We've been talking a lot about the Great Resignation and how people are quitting their jobs. And one of the things that keeps coming up over and over again is people are lazy. They don't want to work. And I've been taking the contrary point of view, saying, if not now, when? If you're going to go ahead and try to figure out what you want to do with your life. So I got these great statistics that I found in Inc. magazine. So new Labor Department data is showing there are now 500,000 more unincorporated self-employed workers than there were at the start of the pandemic. The number of new applications for federal ID tax numbers jumped 56% during the pandemic. 2/3 of those were businesses expected to employ nobody other than the founder. More compelling facts, the percentage of workers in the United States who consider themselves self-employed rose from 5.4% in February 2020 to now 5.9%. And here's the thing that really goes to what I've been saying. Remember, Anthony, I've said a few times that everybody owns an Etsy store. Now they don't want to go back. Well, the proof is in. In September 2019, Etsy had 2.6 million active sellers. That number is now up to 7.5 million.
Yeah, it's a revolution. It's a renaissance. It's not, as we said, it's not going away. Listen to what we've done. When we were 15 years ago, I did it. 10 years ago,
15,
you changed and you incorporated yourself. No employees. I had no employees at the time. And you took a chance on yourself. And that's kind of what people are realizing. They're like, why am I working for someone else when I can take a chance on myself?
Right.
And failure feels much more I think you appreciate your failure more when you fail and you're doing it for yourself, because it's really more of a learning lesson than it is a, that you're getting a report card.
Right.
It's like, if you do something that doesn't work, you know it didn't work and you can go do it again. When you're working for somebody else, a lot of the times you fail is because of that personality, because of that environment, that culture.
Right.
Right. When you're by yourself, you can't make excuses. We had somebody on probably 6 months ago, and he said, I was failing at what I was doing because I woke up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I got up at 10 o'clock in the morning and I started my day. And I realized, oh, everybody's at work at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I need to move. I need to be ready by 8 o'clock. I can't be getting up at 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
Or you could just move to London and then you could get up at noon. You'll be at 7 a.m. New York time.
Yeah. How do you feel about that joke? You think that landed or not really?
I think I probably should do this.
So no, but that's the truth. It's like I said before, no one's coming. No one's going to throw you out of bed. You have to be disciplined. There is nothing more important in life than discipline.
Yeah.
And if you're disciplined and you have a plan and you execute that plan, very rarely are you going to fail. If you truly have a plan that you're going to execute and you're an open-minded person, you're going to zig and zag when you're supposed to. And when you do make a mistake, you're going to get back in there because you're doing it for yourself. There's a real mission. And also, I think there's a more, first of all, I love the stats that you just threw off. They're amazing, and they're really not only relevant, but it really underlines what is happening.
Right.
And because everybody just talks and talks and talks, but the stats don't lie.
Yeah.
So it is moving in the right direction. And then when you do succeed or you do fail, you do it for yourself, and there's nothing more satisfying than waking up knowing you're doing it for yourself.
All right. So as a guy, Anthony, who's I would say is achieved a lot and become successful where in your career and your personal life, one of the things that I worry about is all the stuff that you're saying is great, but people sometimes don't have the confidence. They're scared to do it still. And for me, when I started my business, I think that was the hardest thing for me to overcome. But somehow I dug deep. It really took me a year. I've said this before on air. And I went ahead and did it. So how can you convince people that, yes, they really can be successful and they shouldn't let the fear prevent them from living the ultimate life that they could?
You know, it took me a long time, probably 20 years, to listen. I didn't listen for a long time. I just did it. I just pushed and pushed and pushed, and I was successful, but I wasn't listening. And I think to really be successful and to really be happy, you have to listen. So if you have an agenda and you have a plan and you're executing it, you have to, like I said, zig and zag. And the only way you can do that is by listening.
Right.
If you're saying you're trying to sell, and we've all seen this, trying to sell a customer something they don't want, and you change your plan to try to convince them they want this thing that they don't want, they don't want it. Like, you're not listening.
Right.
It's not your sales pitch. They don't want it.
Exactly. You got that right. Oh, Anthony, what perfect timing. Our wonderful, esteemed guest has arrived. Come on in, get a little bit closer. You can line yourself up on the screen because I'm going to bring you in right now. Our mystery guest, who you guys already know, Shannon McCallum. Great to see you once again. Now, Shannon, if you don't know, she just started this week. This is day 3, and she's now officially VP of Hotel Operations for Resorts World here in Las Vegas, an absolutely incredible building. She's also co-chair of the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association Technology Committee, as well as chair of the board for the NHLA Foundation. Unfortunately, your titles are so long, we don't have time for the actual interview, but thank you.
Just say rock star.
Yeah, right. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for having us. I do want to acknowledge you starting at Resorts World and stuff like that, but maybe we'll save that for the end because we're here to talk technology. We're at the NHLA Technology Conference. We're getting ready to do the Shark Pool event. How cool is this that you have all this innovation going on here in Nevada?
Oh, you know, Nevada is such an amazing location for hospitality, and really technology is really coming along to support that.
Right.
I don't think it's ever been as important as it is today to have technology, especially the way that the world is changing. And with the advent of the pandemic, more and more hotels are looking for technology to support their business. So having this conference here, especially when many of the hoteliers in the city are not traveling right now, is extremely important. And it's been a long year for vendors not to be able to have that exposure. So it's a fantastic facility. The Blackfire facility is a brand new facility that was built specifically for showcasing hospitality technology. And it's so great to have you both here.
That's really cool to have a whole area for that. I see there's some other offices here, like Caesars Entertainment is here. UNLV Office of Economic Development is here. This is a pretty cool building to be in.
It's what I love about Vegas and buildings like this and companies like this, and that everybody's focused on the same thing, hospitality. And everyone is like, we've talked about this before. It feels like a community. It feels like everyone is in this together, whatever brand you're from, whatever technology company you're from. It's like we're all in this together and we all want to help each other. And I think because of the space in Vegas and because of the weather, I just think everybody's more kind of calm and focused on the task at hand. Like in New York, like this morning, it took my daughter 3.5 hours to get to work. Okay, so the time you get to work, it's supposed to take you 45 minutes, takes you 3.5 hours. You're so stressed out. And you don't really focus on the task at hand. And I just love being out here and talking to all the different people. They're always talking about the same thing. And at the end of the day, it's the guest. At the end of the day, how do we deliver better service through technology or through labor?
Well, you couldn't be more right. I mean, this is a city for hospitality.
Right.
And so everybody is so warm and outgoing because this is our line of work here. And the partnership with UNLV couldn't be more important, especially with the hospitality school, because that is feeding the environment and the industry within this city. So this partnership with UNLV and Blackfire and the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association is critical to our industry in the city.
Yeah, everything. Listen, a high tide floats all boats, and you really feel that. You really feel that in Vegas.
So, do you feel that Vegas is really embracing the push for innovative technological change?
I think Vegas has always been the center that people come to in order to see what's next with technology, and because of the volume. It's not like we have 200 room hotels here. We've got 4,000, 5,000 room hotels. So, there's unique crunch points when you have that. Think of check-in. Having a way to check in and not have to stand in line at the front desk has been a focus for a long time.
Thank goodness.
Digital door keys, getting your key on your phone. All of those things help to facilitate a better guest experience.
Yeah, for sure. I cannot stand waiting on long lines. At your former company, there's a particular resort at the furthest south end of the strip. And you go there for a conference. I sometimes would have to wait 30, 40 minutes. And after being on a flight for 6 hours, that's a bummer. But then another property in that family, I went and I was able to go boop, 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 and I was in my room in like 30 seconds. Totally transformed the experience for me. Now, when we checked into Resorts World the other day, that was a little different. We got a real personalized approach because we were fortunate enough to be staying at the Croxford building over there. That
beautiful hotel.
Beautiful hotel.
We were both dying to stay there too. So thank you.
So it's interesting to me how, like, when you're staying in the regular rooms, you want to get out. But here, when we checked in, it wasn't technology. It was the person that gave us this special tea-infused drink, which was fabulous, and took time and care to make us feel special. So when you're thinking about technology and innovation, how do you balance those two things to make the masses happy while still being able to catering to those who need it?
And you were really on the ground floor of that when you were at the Aria, because Aria was really the first hotel to embrace technology at a real level, really focus on it pre-construction. So I think you have some of the best insight in the industry to answer that question. So answer the question.
Come on, what's taking you so long?
Adding technology to your business, it's giving the opportunity for the guest to make a choice for their own path. If forcing technology and forcing everyone to check in the same way doesn't make sense, because our guests are all different. They all have different needs. And personalizing the experience for those persons that are looking for that is really critical. And that will be the feature that will bring people back. However, if you have a business person checking in and they just want to be able to check in, drop their bags and go and not have to talk to anyone or answer any questions because they've been there 20 times, you shouldn't have to force them to do the same check-in experience as someone who is there on their anniversary, that has saved 2 years for the trip, that want to book dinners and tours. They're going to have many more questions because they're not as familiar with the facility. Yeah. So it's about choosing the path. And I think that's the future of luxury travel.
I have 1 minute to 2 minutes and I want to be away from that desk. But in that 1 or 2 minutes, I want to get the person's personality, not so much information. I'll get the information if I want it. And right now, QR codes gives you most of the information. So through your personality, if you can give me information by talking to me like a human being and not being a robot, is key. That check-in at Crawford was amazing. The concierge is amazing. The service, I said before we got on air, the service at that hotel is next level.
Thank you so much. I know the team will be thrilled to hear that, and I'm excited to be at such a wonderful property.
Yeah, you really did a great
Innovative.
job putting that together, Shannon.
And you know what? I can't really take credit for that. There's
Sure
many
you
other
can.
amazing
You've been there
people.
24 hours, Shannon.
Yeah,
Come
I've been there
on.
2 days.
Don't sell us short. It's been 48.
But you know, I'm so thrilled because it is the newest luxury property on the Las Vegas Strip in 10 years.
Yep.
And the technology that is in that building and the luxury experience is just outstanding. I'm so excited.
All right,
You know
I got Anthony. Let me just do a quick shameless plug here. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to interview Paul Steelman, who is probably the world's #1 renowned architecture in the casino resort space. So that'll be coming up on the Hotel Design Podcast probably in about 5-6 weeks from now. Be on the lookout for that because we talk all about these issues and the specifics and everything he went through to help create Resorts World from not the ground up, because there's a little bit of framework there from an older project, but how he compensated with that and how they created the property. So check that out.
There's a real lightness to Crockford. There's a real openness and feeling like you don't feel like you're in Vegas. You don't feel like you're in the casino. Everything is light and airy, and the ceilings in the rooms are I think 25 feet.
Seriously, those were crazy. And we talk about that on the show too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just a feeling you can see they really went out of their way to make sure everything just felt right. And it's very, very comfortable. Having 3 hotels in one hotel, I think in one complex, I think the service level has to be at the level it's at. I'll give you an example. It is a little confusing to find the Crockford because there's 3 hotel suites. So I was a little lost, and I went up to a cocktail waitress and I said to her, I'm looking for the elevator for Crockford.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, sure, follow me. With her 5 drinks on her, went probably 500 yards out of her way through a whole bunch of hallways and 2 casinos and said, right here's the elevator, sir, enjoy your stay. The cocktail waitress just went out of her way off the floor to bring me to the elevator. Whether I was a VIP, whether she knew who I was just a guest to her that needed to get to the elevator. And that to me is the service that I've been complaining about, the lack of service.
Right.
I'm getting actually angry about the level of service in our industry in the last year. It's terrible. And it's terrible because I understand the labor shortage, but there's not a lot of training going back into the people that are there. At that hotel, you can really see the training.
Well, like labor shortage or no labor shortage, I don't know what's going on at Resorts World, but me as a customer, I don't feel that way.
Yeah, I said yesterday, there's a lot of employees.
Yeah, you did, as a matter of fact. One thing I learned interesting, technological innovation in gaming, they've been turning up the lights, right? You've got great lights in Resorts World, and I think it really creates an atmosphere where people want to hang out and kind of spend their money, which is really interesting. But in the rooms, you've got all the basics down, and it's being done well. You've got all the master panel for the buttons, and thank you for having a button in there. I know you just started 2 days ago. You didn't design this, but you can get a nightlight in the bathroom, and it's actually makes a whole lot of sense. Just really well done. When it comes to you thinking about that next generation of guest room conveniences and amenities from technology, how do you see that playing out? Because from the time Aria opened to now, you would need like an instruction manual to get the room to do the same things now that it's just intuitive today at Resorts World.
You know, the technology has changed so much in such a short time, and opening up Aria, which I wasn't there at opening, but I was there shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people were not used to having panels to control their rooms,
right,
or using their phone in different ways. So
I mean, this was even before like iPhones really took off.
There were no smartphones at that time. And what's interesting is you got a lot of phone calls down to the telecommunications department because people didn't know how to make it work.
Right.
But I think people are so much more used to having technology at their fingertips. And it's really about, again, controlling your experience and being in the room and having the room work for you, not forcing you into what has been planned for the room.
Right.
And there's been a lot of thought that has gone into the design of the rooms. I even think 10 years ago, there weren't plugs beside the bed, and you'd have to plug your phone in across the room. And then if it rang in the middle of the night, you were like trying to search for it in the dark.
Right.
So we've learned a lot as hoteliers. And I think this industry will continue to progress and continue to hone that experience. And I think hoteliers also have to be bold to be able to try things out, because not everything you're going to try is going to work perfectly at the first outset.
Such as putting down the blinds and then pulling up the blinds.
Yes.
Again.
Did that throw you off, Glenn?
No, nothing throws me off.
I look like I have jaundice, and I was like, "Why?"
No, you really, you really do look like you have jaundice. I don't know what's going on, but the lighting in here is very yellow. We are safe. We are healthy.
But what's so funny? When I pulled down the shade, I looked a little bit better, but then Shannon looked a little bit more yellow. So I was like, I'd rather her look better than.
Well, I should probably take off the Simpsonizer feature that I put on here. That's probably what the problem was.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah. So Shannon, back to technology and innovation hospitality. We're here again at the NHLA Technology Conference, where we're going to be doing this Shark Pool event. So you really have people here that are at the forefront of technology and hospitality. What are some of the things that you think we're going to experience today that you're excited about in terms of pushing the boundaries here and what we should expect?
And are we going to see a lot of robots?
Well, we are seeing a lot of robots already. There's robots roaming around with drinks.
Did you see the robot dog at Resorts World?
Yes, in the lobby.
Yeah, in the lobby, right next to the concierge desk.
You know, it's all about trying new things. And that is what the Shark Pool is all about, whether it is university students that have projects of up and coming technology that they're thinking about, or existing technology companies that have new ideas that they're launching that may be different than their existing products. And that's what's exciting today. This is not about being afraid to share your new ideas. It's about let's get the ideas out there and generate thought, like a think tank of technology for hospitality.
Yeah, you know, at first I'm not a robot guy, and I don't want to be served a drink on a robot. However, if you're in a really busy convention and you're waiting more than 5 minutes for your drink, you get annoyed. So if there's a robot and I can just pick up a beer or water or something, that would be very, very convenient. Again, one of the things I think we do in the industry, or we did for a long time, is we force technology on people. As long as technology is there to help facilitate service and not get in the way. And so to me, grabbing a bottle off a robot is okay. I don't want a robot in the lobby. I don't want to check in by a robot. But that's just me. I'm old fashioned. I don't know. But I think as long as we're very diligent and careful and precise in the way we incorporate, because it really, to me, there's nothing that feels colder than a robot. So yes, for convenience, it's there, but it feels cold. Like when I spoke to that concierge yesterday, or I spoke to the front desk clerk and he gave me that drink, like I still feel that feeling. Last night at the restaurant, what's the name of the restaurant we went to, Glenn?
Something.
Beautiful, modern
It was
Asian,
awesome.
Modern Asian restaurant at the Resorts World.
The modern Japanese cuisine. I'm going to look it up. I can't believe I enjoyed it so much that I forgot the name. I'm sorry.
But the waiter was amazing. He was, you know, he came up as a server, as a busboy, as a runner.
It was a great story.
And a great, wonderful story that
Kusanori.
Okay. Are you done interrupting me?
You asked the damn question.
So what I loved about his story was we always talk about there is no bar to entry in this industry. And this kid who went from being a runner and a busboy to working in a very fancy restaurant. And I am sure, as they say today, he makes bank.
Yeah.
Okay. He makes a lot more money than all his friends that probably have a lot of fancy degrees. And that this industry, but he said something in explaining to me his journey, because I asked him his journey. And he said, I was grateful for this and I was grateful for that. He was grateful like 30 times.
Yes.
Like he was just grateful for the opportunity.
He was grateful we kept ordering more alcohol.
It's so funny. We both looked at the chef's menu, and Glenn, I said, "Man, order whatever you want." I said, "Just get whatever you want, brother," because we have a deal, as everybody knows. He sets up all the technology, and I buy him dinner. So he goes, "Yeah, but the tasting menu, man, that's expensive. So whatever you want." I looked at it; it was relatively expensive. I said, "Whatever you want." So he decided to a la carte, which was 10 times more expensive. But it was such a great meal and so the service. So what I'm going to remember about this hotel is just the people, not the robot.
Right.
Just the people really made. I felt like I had faith in hospitality again after staying here for the last couple of nights. I really did, because I was losing it.
Well, speaking of that, Mike Bales says he's been in customer service 20 years. And one of the questions he has is, how come management doesn't seem to take the time to properly train their employees? I'm not sure that's the specific issue, Shannon. But how do you see training and hospitality and delivering customer service as far as your angle goes?
I do think that training is a part of it. And I do agree with Mike somewhat. However, I think when we're trying to run efficiently, which we have been after the pandemic, that some things get cut.
Right.
And it's due to necessity of the business being able to survive.
Right.
However, now that we're on the downside, hopefully, knock on wood, of the pandemic, it's time to refocus because the guests' expectations are the same as before the pandemic as they are now.
I say they're higher now.
Well, I think that they're the same and they are getting frustrated because they're paying more money for
Right.
their room and they're getting less service.
Right.
And I think those properties and those companies who are focused on training, who are holding team members accountable, who are also appreciating and rewarding their team members for coming into work and taking care of the guests in a positive reinforcement way will be the companies that will succeed. And that's where the guests will go. Because if guests are disappointed, they're going to remember that experience and they just won't return.
You said something very subtle. Glenn said, I think the guest expectations are even higher. And you said, no, they're the same. They're just getting frustrated because they're paying more money. And you're the only person to say that in all the conversations we've had about this. You're the only person to say, no, their standard has not changed. Okay. You're frustrating them. So it seems like their standard has changed. Your standards have changed. You're not where you were pre-pandemic. That's understandable. But if you're not doubling down on training today, you're going to be left behind tomorrow, because I guarantee you, that's the hotel. The hotel I'm staying at is the hotel I want to stay at. There's another favorite hotel that you used to work at that I also love going to for the same reasons. And people don't get that. And if they blame the employees, they don't appreciate as much. They want more money. They want flexibility. If the guest is more, their standards are high. If you blame the guest and your employee, you're going to go out of business.
Well, and you're going to lose your staff too, because staff, their expectations now have changed too. And what they may have done before or put up with before, they're not putting up with anymore. There's many other industries out there that are now challenging and recruiting from the hospitality industry because of the level of training that those employees have and their customer service skills. They're a benefit to technology. They're a benefit to many other fields. And that's why we're feeling the pinch now, because people have choices and they're actually choosing what kind of an environment that they want to work in. So building a team culture and that service profit chain where you take care of your employees so that they're excited to take care of your guests, to be successful as a business is never more important.
So Shannon, we're talking technology. So how can you leverage the power of technology to enhance customer service while better engaging employees to create a much more virtuous circle of service?
Well, technology isn't about replacing people. And I think that there's been that philosophy that that's what businesses were doing. And it is because some roles, sometimes you do see that, but it's about creating efficiency so that you can give the style of service that you need to for those guests who are expecting it. If you just want to be able to get your key and go to the room and you can use an app to do that, some people will actually choose that because that is the path that they want to go. And that isn't replacing, because you're going to utilize those employees in a different way so that they can take care of the guests, or maybe they're going to be working in a royal service where they're answering phone calls and cutting down the time that it takes to be able to get to the guest. But it is about getting the guest to be able to enjoy their experience as quickly as they can, because if your guest experience on arrival isn't excellent, the whole rest of the stay is affected. If you have an excellent arrival experience, the guest is set up for success at your property and they can get to your gaming floors more quickly and get to your restaurants more quickly. And they're going to be excited about the experience that they're having.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get back to what you said before about employees having options. It's good and it's bad. It's good in the sense that it's always great to have options. It's bad that we're losing people at the time we were all trying to hire at the same time. However, where you're going to keep your staff and you're going to keep them motivated is everything you said, because what they're going to do is they're going to look at their friend that does Uber Eats or, selling crypto or having their business. Like Glenn was talking about how there are more businesses than there have ever been. Self-employment has risen. Most of it, I think,
we were talking about that
done in the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, and with that, you're going to have two things. You're going to have a person that's really happy and successful doing it, and you're going to have a lot of people failing at doing it because they don't have the discipline. and getting back into the workforce. So these people that work for you are going to have two people, one that's successful, one not successful. If they're happy with their employee and their employer and they're making money and they feel seen, either one of them going to have influence on them. They're going to be able to stay the course because you're like, okay, this person's successful, but there's a lot of ups and downs to that. And this person's miserable. And so the grass isn't always greener. Staying true to who you are as an employer, I think is critical. And like you said, doubling down on training, because with all these people leaving, there's going to be a high percentage of people not doing well because they lack the skills of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. So Colleen is thinking employees would have a big morale boost by cross-training in other positions. And Brandy is saying, how does hospitality retain the best talent? I feel the answer is somewhere combining all of these things to give people great varied experiences with a career path forward.
I've always said that working in hospitality is like going to school and getting paid for it, because there are so many different disciplines within a hotel. Hospitality and especially these large hotels in Las Vegas are like little cities. You have a cook, you have a tailor, you have, every different kind of discipline. And I think as a successful hotelier, especially being in the hotel portion, cross-training, you are able to learn and understand the strengths and the challenges of other positions. And it's almost like having a jigsaw puzzle where you put the information together. And once you've learned different disciplines, it's like you can see the whole picture and understand how your decisions are affecting other people. And keeping people engaged. People are at their best when they're learning something new.
Right.
When they are doing the same thing over and over, day after day, it gets stale and robotic. And that's not what you want.
Unless you're a robot, then it works perfectly.
And it helps you keep the pride, right? Yesterday we were noticing the uniforms.
Yeah, you totally notice those uniforms.
The apparel was exceptional. And I think you asked the young man, where'd you, because I noticed his shirt. It was beautiful. It was soft. And it was Sanitize. So that's a shameless plug for Sanitize.
That's fair enough, man. Go for it.
Who I represent. But Sanitize, you really see the difference in that quality of uniform or garment or apparel. You really saw. And there was the young lady who was bringing me across the lobby to find the elevator. Her outfit was spectacular. I mean, it was beaded. It was something like Cher would wear. It was spectacular. And all that makes people feel prideful. When she was talking about it, because I mentioned, I said, that's a beautiful uniform. And she literally lit up. She goes, isn't it beautiful? It's the nice uniform I've ever had. I've been doing this for so many years, and it's I feel just good putting it on in the morning. Like, it all matters.
It also sets the tone for the experience. And that's part of the visual attributes of the property. And it has to be so well thought out in order to complement what the architects and the designers have put together. So choosing uniforms isn't something you just choose from a catalog. You actually have to see the uniforms in the space to ensure that they're going to work. And I agree, the uniforms at Resorts World have just been fantastically put together. There's been a lot of thought to them. And you're right. The guests notice it, and the employees need to feel proud in what they're wearing.
To me, it's like walking art. Really, when I saw that outfit, I was like, "That's a piece of art walking through the facility." It was amazing.
Right. All right. So we're going to have to start wrapping up to get to the next interview soon. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association and the Technology Committee and what your role is and all that.
Absolutely. Well, the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association is an association of hoteliers and vendors who service the hospitality industry within the state, not just Las Vegas. And it is a collaboration of committees that help for us to be able to grow and to compare notes and to get better at what we're doing and making the state of Nevada a destination that people want to come to. Now, the technology committee was grown from the fact that we had many different technology companies who couldn't travel to Las Vegas because of the pandemic. So last year we created the technology committee, and we decided we wanted to have a showcase that was specific to technology. So we reached out to Blackfire Innovation Center, which is brand new in Las Vegas and was built in order to showcase technology, and talked about putting this conference together. There are other technology conferences within North America that happen every year, but many of them are very large, and it's very difficult for vendors to connect with operators. This facility is smaller. We capped it at 150 attendees. all of our vendors get a list so they can understand who's attending, and it's feasible in this atmosphere for them to actually get to talk to the person that they want to hear. So it's a very attractive way to be able to provide value to the vendors within the association, to get exposure to the decision makers who are looking at new technology in a very approachable atmosphere.
Yeah, it's funny. You go to these conventions and the volume and the sound takes away from the connection, because you meet so many people that you really meet no one. I'd rather come to a convention where I meet 2 people.
That's right.
As meet 20 people, and then I can go home and go, I didn't meet anybody.
Yeah, especially if the event is so big, you could make excuses and just disappear, not really, not really engage in the event.
I don't do that, Glenn.
You don't do that at all. Me, I'm a freak. I stay at the event all day long, mind the cocktail parties for all they're worth. Shannon, this has been absolutely awesome. If people want to get more involved in anything that you're doing with the Nevada Hotel and Lodging Associate Technology Conference, or wants to work with you at Resorts World, how do they find you guys?
Very excited. We Nevada Hotel and Lodging Association has a website. It's nvhotels.com. You can become a member if you're a hotel within the state of Nevada or a vendor that services hotels. We also do have vendor memberships, so please check it out on our website. In addition, please come and stay with me at Resorts World in Las Vegas. I look forward to welcoming you to the property. It's technology forward, luxury property.
And
so
food,
much to do.
lots of food.
40 restaurants and lounges. Please come and discover us. It's an excellent property, and I couldn't be happier.
Vegan ice cream. They have a vegan ice cream shop. I was so happy.
Yes, I saw it. I was happy for you. I'm like, I'm not going to touch it, but I'm very happy.
Vegan ice cream tastes like ice cream. Okay. So I can't have dairy. So vegan ice cream tastes like ice cream. Eat vegan ice cream. Okay. It's good for you.
All right. I have been instructed to go eat at Google Man and have the charcuterie tao or tio, I think it's pronounced. So I'm going to go do that a little bit later. Shannon McCallum, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Woo! That was a little applause.
I think that's the first time I've ever done that.
I know. Yeah, I know. Well, she's awesome. I love it.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah, thank you. That was awesome. All right, we're going to be teeing up our next guest right now. So one of the things we did, we talked about the whole basis of innovation. Now we're going to talk to one of the companies that are focused on innovation, which is very exciting over here as part of our program today at the Blackfire Innovation Studio. So let's welcome to the show, Ronen Benin, CEO of Glissner. Ronen, how are you, man?
I am doing terrific. Thank you so much for having me.
I don't know too much about your product, but I freaking love your name. Awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what you're up to now. You focus on UVC light technology to help disinfect items like mobile phones. Yeah,
absolutely. That's what we're doing. So I'll give a little bit of a backstory. Yep. So I'm actually Canadian, and my wife is an emergency room doctor. Mm-hmm. Early on in the pandemic, she showed up to the hospital. Mm-hmm. Her chief sat her down and said, "Your phone is a major vector for disease spread. It's really silly when you sanitize your hands and then grab your phone. You should be sanitizing your phone." Mm-hmm. But there was no good way to do it. So we decided to come up with the first completely touchless way to effectively sanitize.
Hey, you could just look straight in the camera there, not at me. I know. I just so you know your eyes off of me.
Look, I had a sign made.
We're a little bit more casual here. Yeah, Anthony's been writing signs all day, which is very unusual for you. I gave him a pen. He can't stop. Sorry, Ronen.
No, it's all good.
So that's interesting. That's fascinating. I clean my phone. In the beginning of the pandemic, I cleaned my phone every 30 seconds. I haven't cleaned my phone probably in 2 weeks. But that's interesting. But I clean my hands all the time.
Absolutely.
And then they get dirty the second you touch your phone.
Exactly. We think it's really silly when people sanitize their hands and then grab their phone, because it negates the whole point of sanitizing your hands.
I still don't understand people on their phones at urinals. I'm never going to figure that one out.
Well, they stopped doing that when they dropped their phone in the urinal.
You'd think.
Which has happened more times than you would think.
Not for me, because I'm not that.
So what are your challenges now that people, this new variant may be a problem for all of us. We're not sure, but people, all in all, we're done. And thank God we can be done because of the vaccine. And we have that mentality of that it's behind us, whether it is or it isn't. We're feeling better. So I'm not sanitizing my phone. I'm not worried about the air quality as much as I was, especially since they said that may not be it's maybe wearing a mask or getting a vaccine is more important. So what has been the challenge to do that? In your business?
That's a terrific question. And we get asked this quite often. The way we explain this is that we don't believe that hand sanitizer is going anywhere, because we know that hand sanitizer helps break that chain of infection.
And I think people now are in the habit of seeing hand sanitizer everywhere.
Exactly. And so we're building this solution not for COVID. We're building this solution for the world post-COVID. That's
if you get too focused on COVID, then you're automatically eliminating yourselves from future success.
Exactly. And you're right. COVID, for the most part, is airborne, right? That's been proven. But a lot of viruses, such as the flu, can spread through particles, right? So what if I told you that if you sanitize your phone regularly, you can significantly decrease your odds of becoming sick during cold and flu season?
Right.
A lot of people would start listening then.
And that's interesting, because now people are going to get more focused on that, because when we were all stuck at home, flu rates are down. Now those numbers are jumping up very significantly.
If you can figure out how to put a light on your phone that shows all the bacteria of your phone,
right?
Like literally people would not touch their phone.
People would be walking around in hazmat suits.
Just
not touching anything if we figured out that.
I remember one of the major hotel brands years ago. They were very hyper focused on cleaning. So they sent us editors in hospitality these blue light or black light wands or something like that. And you put it over the bed. I'm like, oh my God, I never want to bring this with me anywhere, because I'd never stay in a hotel.
Yeah, black lights and blue lights has made me famous. I get stopped on a daily basis of people saying, man, where's your blue light?
But that's pretty interesting, though, that you're really thinking ahead and you're looking at some of the issues that were already there, but like everything else that we've been talking about, accelerating the trends, people are paying more attention now to things that they otherwise would have ignored, which I think puts you in a really good spot for future success if you get that messaging out in the right way.
That's exactly it. We see the pandemic as an opportunity for us to socialize really what we're doing, socialize the need for people to sanitize their phones, but also the fact that there is a solution that can do it very quickly and effectively, and they don't have to, use chemical wipes and destroy the environment doing all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I love that you got your really smart sales technique that Ronen is doing here right now. They're the premier sponsor of the technology conference today, which is why we're speaking to you. Forget being with us on there, but by having your name there and getting to interact with all of these high-end decision makers, I think is really going to get you shortcuts to success on the Strip and in the entire Nevada area.
That's our hope, and that's our plan. So that's exactly why we're here sponsoring this conference.
Sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, sales, I don't like sales. I'm not a salesperson. People ask me all the time for my sales perspective and, what are the secrets? There are no secrets. Okay. However, relationship building will never get old. And what you're doing, whether you get a piece of business from today or not, is you're building relationships. And those relationships, like look at Shannon. Shannon was in MGM. She left. She's in technology, and then she's going back into the hotel industry. She's now at Resorts World. You never know where people are going to wind up. You never know what their need is going to be. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a set, or I've been, in a parking lot, or I've been at in a meeting, and they're like, "Do you know a guy?" And like everybody knows, I know a guy. And what I'll do is I'll put, you, when I get your number later, I'll put you in as the guy that sanitizes phone. I may then put your name in there. But then someone will say, hey, you know anybody that sanitizes phone? How do we do that? We need it for our hotel. I was like, I don't know. And then in my phone, it's the guy that sanitizes phones.
I'm actually in his phone as the guy that screws up podcasts.
No, you want to know how you're in my phone? You keep talking. I'll read you exactly how you're in my phone.
Right. So, Ronen, while he's looking that up, what is the appetite out there for purchasing new products and stuff like that? Because you had this thing and it kind of screwed up everybody's cash flow and stuff. And one of the issues I've been hearing is all of these big companies are afraid to pull the trigger on new purchases. How do you negotiate that if that's an issue for you?
It's really funny, actually. You can see this.
And he nearly spelled my name right. So that's exciting.
So that's also a fantastic question, and one that we face regularly as we're bringing the product to market. So for context, we place our product for the most part in well-traveled, high-value locations where there's dwell time. So think transit hubs,
Right.
think higher end hotels. And we sell the units as a profit center, right? When somebody's sanitizing their phone, there's a 32-inch screen right above them. So the sponsor has the opportunity to engage one-on-one with whoever is sanitizing their phone without any distractions. Because we all know when somebody's on their phone, they're not going to pay attention to anything else around them.
Right.
So if you have the opportunity to get rid of their phone and have them look at that screen, that becomes very valuable real estate. And so we're selling this as a solution to be able to have that intimate one-on-one communication experience with the guest, with the customer.
Right. Cool. Anthony?
Yeah, I just think anytime, even like it's funny that however long it takes to sanitize the phone, that 20 seconds, like it's probably the only 20 seconds you're going to capture that person's attention the whole day.
Exactly. Imagine somebody's, I'm from Canada, from Toronto. We have a transit system there. Walking through there, literally everybody is on their phone. And
Right.
It's virtually impossible to get them to look up and around them. What we've been able to do is provide a solution that not only is a utility, right, provides phone hygiene, but removes those distractions and has somebody one-on-one.
Let me ask you a question. How about on a plane? Early in my career, everybody was working on a plane. Nobody works on a plane anymore. I saw a guy working on a plane actually coming here, and I was shocked. I was like, I haven't seen.
It was me.
Actually, it's true. You were one of those people, but you were the second person I saw. The
Yeah.
guy next to me was on his computer doing some sales stuff, and it was very interesting to me because a lot of people just take that time. It's the only time
try
they
to.
get the veg out because they're away from their phone. If I can sanitize my phone on the plane, that would be, it's like I don't need my phone anyway. I'm usually on my iPad or the screen at the on the plane. So I don't know. That's
Plane's
interesting.
a really interesting one too. I think the challenge with a plane is if everybody starts wanting to sanitize their phone, then you're going to have a
whole line.
lineup up and
Yeah.
down, up and
Just
down.
put it by the bathroom.
highway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So can your product sanitize computer keyboards, touch screens, that sort of thing? I would say yes, but I guess it depends on the size of the unit.
And can it sanitize Glenn's mind?
No.
Our focus is on phones because our phones are the biggest vector for disease spread, as I mentioned before. But
because the keyboard is likely my keyboard as
Exactly.
opposed to a phone where you're touching everything all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And our focus beyond phones will be on handheld objects.
Right.
So keys,
Right.
wallets, that sort of stuff.
All right. So I do want to say, Anthony, one of the reasons I'm due for a new phone, but I haven't gotten a new phone because while they're switching over the phone, I won't have a phone and I don't know what to do with myself in the 10 minutes that I won't have a phone. So I might just keep this for the rest of my.
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said. I just heard phone like 10 times.
Hey, listen, Ronen got it. That's all that
I got it.
matters.
So
yeah.
what's interesting? What I find is the most disgusting item is a pocketbook, because have you seen where people put their pocketbooks? They put them on the floor. They put them everywhere. They put them like
What's a pocketbook? Sorry.
What's that?
A pocketbook.
Oh,
ladies handbag.
Oh, ladies handbag. Okay.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
That's the first time I've heard
Hey,
that
listen,
term.
one time I went to Canada, I was trying to find a napkin and I was schooled that they're called serviettes and I
Yes,
haven't
they are.
lived it down since.
Well,
and I
it's
was like
interesting.
9 at the time.
It's interesting. One, pocketbook is actually an old term even for Americans. It's like that's an old term. So, but I never realized people.
I
wouldn't
feel
know
like
what
my
that is.
grandmother said that coming over on the boat from the old country.
Well, if you're in Canada, you don't know what a medium rare hamburger is. So,
Yeah.
right?
The French don't even know what a rare burger is. They're like sub rare. Like,
Oh, really?
black
But,
and blue.
that's interesting. There's so many things to sanitize you don't even think about. When you walk into a men's bathroom and then you walk out of the bathroom, I want to just take my shoes and throw them away. We've all been there. We don't need to go into the graphic details, but it's disgusting.
How about those people that walk into the airline bathrooms without their shoes on?
Yeah, you see the students, the flight attendants.
I
just go,
haven't seen that yet.
I've
You're
seen
very
it
lucky,
many
man,
times.
Ronen. You're a very lucky.
Anyway,
man.
the point is, there's a lot of things to sanitize. So where are you right now? And again, how challenging is it to get people to understand this is relevant and it's important?
It really depends on what you mean by people. To socialize this as an experience for just the average consumer, there's work to be done, right? People need to understand why they need to sanitize their phones. But we found that when we tell people that they have an opportunity to sanitize their phone, they become curious and they start doing their own research. In terms of how difficult is it to find buyers, it's not difficult. It's not difficult for us right now. We have a lot of inbound interest right now, and we're really focused on narrowing down a couple of industries that we want to deploy our technology, and hospitality is definitely one of them. So, which is one of the main reasons that we're here.
Okay, can I ask a completely irrelevant question?
Yeah, it'd be what else is different than every other question we've asked today?
So, what is it like being married to an emergency room doctor? I would imagine, how's her experience in the last year changed? Going into it, pre-pandemic and now coming out of it, I would imagine it's significant.
That's a great question. So my wife actually did her residency before the pandemic, and she started her full-time work just as the pandemic hit.
Oh my goodness.
So everything she had learned in residency was relevant to an extent, but it worked very differently once she started practicing.
If she was in an Army MASH unit, it'd probably been more helpful.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, Delta is now running all episodes of the MASH TV series. I watched the first 3 on the flight coming out here.
Oh.
So what has it been like for her?
It's been, at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people understood what she was going through. Like, we're very, very grateful for healthcare workers. More recently, she's felt like people feel like she's a bottleneck in the system, and which is quite unfortunate. We're quite serious about measures to prevent COVID in our household, and she is, of course, in the hospital. But on a regular basis, there are protests outside her hospital and those sorts of things. So she's quite disheartened, and I know a lot of healthcare workers are. Unfortunately, COVID is not behind us yet,
right?
As evidenced by Omicron and pandemic still sweeping the nation, and Delta still sweeping the nation. And so she feels like a lot of people aren't quite as grateful as she feels they should be.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Like when a military person goes to war and comes back and no one cares.
Yeah, right.
We've sent more men and women to conflict zones in the last 15 years than we've ever. When you went to Vietnam, you went once or twice. Now these young men and women went to conflict zones 15 and 16 times, over the past of their career.
Can't even imagine.
And they come home and like people look at them like, they resent them. And so tell her, thank you for us. And we're, we really appreciate everything she's done during COVID.
So Ronen, thank you so much for being here. How can we learn more about Glissner and your product line?
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
How'd you come up with the name?
I was looking for a name that we would be able to get really good search engine results for, that we didn't have competition for. And Glissner is not a word that exists. And the root of it, glisten, right? To glisten, to shine, to make it clean. We wanted something to have that sort of a ring to it.
I love that. And I love you just taught all the young entrepreneurs out there that instead of competing for the same words, like if you put in Jay Dome, who runs Empire Hotel Group in New York City, came up with NewYorkHotels.com. Okay. In the beginning, very, very beginning. Like in
the 90s?
Yeah. Like he was like the second person to have a website.
Yeah.
And he now gets offers for millions of dollars for that website. So being able to really start your company the right way, and especially with search optimization, is critical. Now, but the person thinking of that would probably say, well, let me get something popular. Like if I'm on Broadway, I want to be Broadway Hotel or something like that. So to me, it's almost the opposite of what you're saying. You're saying, no, you don't want something that is, very relevant because everybody's searching for it. So just real, business lesson there. Why and how?
I've always believed in taking the path less taken, right? In general, because that's where there are more opportunities, fewer people fighting for those opportunities, and you have a higher chance of success. If you were to put Broadway in your name somewhere, think about how many other people are putting Broadway in their name. So you're going to have to spend a lot of time and money and resources in general trying to differentiate yourself from everybody else who's putting those time and resources. Whereas if you pick a unique name that's catchy, that you think could become memorable, it will be a lot less expensive.
Right. Nobody's going to be bidding it up on Google AdWords.
Exactly. And so you'll be able to develop a nice foothold on that. and eventually other people are going to want to come into that space, but you will have owned that real estate.
So when I Google why does glisten, you come up.
Got it, baby.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
When I Google why does Glenn glisten, your company comes up. It's weird.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
I don't think the Canadians get our jokes.
Listen, I don't think Americans did either on that one. Ronen, thank you so much for being here. We really
Wow, you got
appreciate
the
it.
clap. He gave you the clap.
Well, I gave Shannon the electronic clap, so I figured I might as well give Ronen the real one. Hey, thanks so much. You're going to be competing in the shark pool?
I'm not going to be competing.
Probably smart. You're above the fray. I love it.
I want to watch.
Good.
I want to be competing.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this show up because we got to get in there. Thanks again for being here, Ronen. Anthony, any final words before we wrap up for today?
You glisten, Glenn.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, you glisten as well. Thanks, Ronen. We'll see you out there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you joining our show every day. But we also know if you can't watch it on video, you're going to want to listen to it on audio. That's why, of course, we're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere that you want to be. If you name a site, we are there. That's the magic of syndication. If you want to reach out to us individually, he's Anthony Hotels, and I'm at Traveling Glenn. Anthony, I'm ready to host this event.
I think I have a
do
nickname
some
for
judging.
You. I have a nickname for you.
What's that?
Glistening Glenn.
I love it, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, I'm gonna glisten all the way over to this event. I'm so excited about this because this is like really playing into both of our skill sets. I get to host, you get to be all judgy. It's gonna be perfect.
That's what I do for a living.
All right, so on tomorrow's show that we're actually recording today, it'll be pre-recorded. We got Dr. Robert Rippey on. He's the executive director of Blackfire Innovation Hub over here. Plus, we're going to be talking to some student Shark Tank presenters. I'm really looking forward to that one in particular. Should be a great show. So stick around. Tomorrow will be pre-recorded live, noon Eastern time, 9 Vegas time. Anthony, I think you'll just be getting home. I'll be hopefully getting some coffee somewhere in the morning. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Glistening Glenn.
Yeah,
be kind to
baby.
yourself.
See you tomorrow.